anyway, the list goes on. But on that note, if you wouldn't mind loading poll number 2, I'm curious what DMS folks are using here in the group chat. I'll let you pick a little from the slide. Alrighty, it looks like it might be on your screens. I'll give everyone a couple seconds to answer. Alrighty, well, thank you guys so much for doing that. Before I hand it over to Jen, I just want to share. So these are all the different categories of reports that we help support. It's anything that shows up on your factory part statement, any kind of third-party F&I reporting, even payroll, benefits, postings, vehicle invoices, like I mentioned. So we're going to show you a little bit of everything here. But if there's anything that we don't show today that you want to see, please reach out. We'd be happy to set up a more customized demonstration for you. So with that, Jen, I'm going to let you take the screen.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you guys for being here. Thanks, Caitlin.
Yeah.
See my screen. Okay.
Yes.
There we go. Okay, beautiful. So my goal today on this demo of Acumatic is to really, allow our viewers to come away with a good understanding of what we do. Best practices here. If you have a question while I'm demoing a report, please go ahead and ask that question in the Q&A section. Caitlin's going to be watching that while I'm giving the demo, and she'll interrupt us if we have anything. So I always like to give a little bit of my background, because I think it's important that you all understand, coming from the automotive industry, that I too come from the automotive industry. Prior to being at Acumatic, I was kind of sat at all the desks. I've been a business manager, controller. Most recently was running a consolidated accounting office for 35 dealership group. And I actually was approached by Toby to be a beta client. And my honest kind of ego-driven answer was, I've got that solved. I don't need technology. And my CFO at the time actually challenged me, because we did have things pretty well automated, with the exception of parts invoices. And as you guys listening are well aware, you can't really automate parts invoices, right? Typically, the process is somebody, your parts manager, maybe a parts counter person, prints those off daily, codes them, gives them to somebody in the office, and then the person in the office has to hand post those. And I tried for months to break Acumatic. And when I realized that it was not messing up my parts inventory, that it was saving 2 to 3 people in my dealership hours every single day, I went, oh, this is something. This is something pretty amazing. And then I came and joined Acumatic. So I am very passionate about what we do, because I have personally had to post all of these things that I'm going to show you today. I've had to personally train, really non-automotive people how to post these things. Most importantly, I've had to clean up after the mistakes that were made when humans are being the ones who are interpreting a process. So I'm going to give a good gamut here of what Acumatic can do and what we can automate for several different OEMs, several different DMSs. The first thing I'm going to start with here is a Ford dealer payment statement. I like to show this one for a couple different reasons. First and foremost, it's a pretty intense report. Any Ford dealers on the call know this is probably the thing that your group is spending the most amount of time on. So what you see me loading here is just the Ford dealer payment statement out of FMC Dealer in a PDF format. And then I'm also going to load this Excel file, which is a lookup file out of the DMS. So as I load both of those together, Acumatic's going to look at what I've loaded, and it's going to say, oh, great, I see you've loaded the Ford dealer payment statement for dealer X. These guys happen to be on CDK, and this is how they code it. We are always going to recognize everything on whatever report you load. We're always going to make sure that everything's fully balanced. We are going to work with you during our onboarding process to understand how you code things. As you can see, I have this pink box here, and over in configuration, I have a couple of cards that need to be filled out. Acumatic's goal is to automate as much as we possibly can for you, but sometimes we also understand that you're going to want to put eyes on something specific. Good example is, maybe you don't want to just code shop tools. Maybe those need to be looked at so you can determine if it's an asset versus an expense. In this scenario, this is a new program, and so we would just ask the dealer to come in and code it the one time and fill out these cards for the appropriate information for their dealership. Once I have this green check mark, I'm done. Okay, so what does done mean? Done means I've taken all 220 lines of my Ford dealer payment statement and I've coded them appropriate for this dealer. We understand that for this dealer, their holdback credits go to this account controlled by the last date of the VIN. And then, of course, your PDI is going to go to a different account with potentially a different control. One of the amazing things about Acumatic is that we can automate that VIN to stock or VIN to customer number lookup, which is a very tedious process for dealers today. So here for this dealer, they take their full tank of fuel and they they control it to a stock number. So with that lookup file that we loaded, we were able to look up every single stock number from the dealer's stock number book and get those things coded appropriately.
Hey, Jen, I'm going to introduce you sorry, just 1 second. For folks who are watching this, if you haven't done so already, if you want to click, there's a button that says dual screen mode. If you click that, that'll make what Jen's presenting a lot bigger, so you can see the details a little bit better. Sorry, Jen, go ahead.
No, thank you for saying that. Yeah, I know it's small, minute information. I can actually even do that a little bit too, make it a little bit bigger. Okay, so also always going to make sure that our entries are balanced, right? Your debits and credits must enter to zero. That's how accounting works. If there was ever a reason where something didn't balance, a couple things are going to happen. It's going to be very visually evident that it's, there's a problem, right? All my numbers go red. I lose my green check mark over here. And probably most importantly, we do not allow you to take the information out of Acumatic to put it back to your DMS, because we wouldn't want that. So as soon as I resolve my out of balance, again, I get my green check mark back, and then I'm good to go. Getting this back into your DMS is really dependent upon your DMS. Like I said, these guys are on CDK. Any of my CDK dealers in the room are going to understand the PowerPost format. Hopefully that looks familiar. All we're doing is we click copy the result. That copies that PowerPost entry to your clipboard. You go back into AGJE, you right click and you paste it, and you've just posted that entire entry. I'm going to go ahead and move on to parts invoices. So as I started my presentation here, parts invoices is very near and dear to my heart. It's something that I think Acumatic has saved a ton of time for our current dealers on. What you're going to see me load here is just a group of Subaru parts invoices. And the great thing about parts invoices and how Acumatic codes them is we're always going to meet you where you guys are posting today. So what I mean by that is, let's say you have a process where everything for your parts invoices just goes to a single parts inventory account. Great. All you're going to have to do is load those invoices into the system. We're going to code your parts to that parts inventory account. We're going to code all of the different things that show up on those invoices, like discounts, freight, just the random stuff that shows up on these. I know GM has advertising, Chrysler has those ARC codes. Whatever shows up on those invoices, we're going to code them appropriately for you, and we're going to create that offsetting entry to your factory payable. So everything in here is fully balanced, and I'm bulk posting parts invoices. The added benefit to this report is that if you happen to be a dealer who codes things to multiple parts inventory accounts, we're going to set up a dictionary behind the scenes that takes your parts pad, so part number, source or group number, and we are going to look at every single part number that is on those parts invoices, establish the part number, decide which source or group code that goes to, and then establish which GL account that goes to. The beautiful thing here is that it's correct every single time. You don't have to rely on those miscoded items that are affecting the buckets of your inventory accounts, because everything here is going to go where it's supposed to go. Our parts managers usually are the ones that we train to load this report and then vet it, make sure everything looks good. And what we've heard back from them is that they actually find an added bonus with this report in that they're probably not the only one who's adding parts into the system and or stocking them in. They can look at this report and say, that's a tire. Why is this tire put to my source code for parts? It should really be moved to my source code 99, let's say. And they can then go in and actually affect that change and stop the errors from happening because Acumatic pointed out this part is associated with this source or group code. As with everything in Acumatic, we are never going to guess, right? So sometimes we know we get those random credit memos where we just don't have a part associated with it. Maybe it's freight. Maybe it's something where they just aren't giving you any sort of indication of what that's for. So you're always going to have the ability to go in and code something where the logic for the report isn't finding the answer of where that should be coded. And then again, you're going to get to your green check mark, and then you're going to simply click a button, and you will have posted 149 or more parts invoices at one time. Beautiful thing here is that you are not limited to a processing limit of any kind on Acumatic. You can do your parts invoices daily, weekly, monthly. It's up to you and the cadence you choose. You can process one invoice at a time or thousands of invoices at a time. We make sure that we support all of that for you in the manner that you need to post into your DMS. Okay, I am now going to move over to kind of wrapping up our factory bucket and show you guys our factory parts statement reconciliation. So this is another big one where I know that your staff is spending a whole bunch of time doing this manually. Even if you're doing this in Excel, you're taking way more time than Acumatic can process that for you in. We're taking our statement from the OEM, whether that's weekly, bi-monthly, or monthly, and then we're just pulling our factory payable directly from the DMS and comparing the two. What we're going to give you back here is the ability to look at this reconciliation in all of the different angles that you would care to look at a factory reconciliation. Our default is always going to be, we're going to show you the reconciling items. I'm going to turn these views off and just walk through these one by one for you. So our equals tab is what we love. We want everything to be here. Our reference number is tied, our amounts netted